Cognizant to the needs of our learners, parents, and teachers, the Department of Education provided us with powerful tools for productivity that will allow us to foster critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication and collaboration skills to be compassionate, responsible global citizens. Join us and discover new ideas in our series of professional development training program with the ICTS Edtech Unit and Microsoft Education Philippines. Together, we will equip our learners and empower our fellow educators for a dynamic future. Para sa bata, para sa bayan, at para sa guro. Sulong Edukalidad.
Magandang araw, Sir Wilbur po, at your service. Narito ang ETUlay upang gabayan ka sa inyong pag-aaral upang lubos na maunawaan ang iba't ibang paksa o subject. Ang ETUlay ay isang free online tutorial class na pinangungunahan ng ICTS Educational Technology Unit sa pamumuno ni Undersecretary Elaine Del B. Pascua. Ang programang ito ay hindi lamang para sa mga bata, kundi ito rin ay magsisilbing gabay sa mga magulang at mga guro kung paano nila ituturo o gagabayan sa bawat asignatura ang kanilang mga anak o mga estudyante. Sa kasalukuyan, ang self-learning module mula sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon at kilala sa tawag na pivot ang ginagamit sa ating ETUlay online class. Kaya ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Ihanda na ang inyong mga ballpen o lapis, papel o kwaderno at samahan kaming itulay ang pagkatuto para sa bawat batang Pilipino. Sama-sama tayong magtutulungan para malampasan ang mga hamon sa panahong ito. Halina't matuto kasama ang inyong online tutor sa oras na ito.
All right. Magandang buhay sa ating lahat and welcome to Week 3 of our third quarter sa ating ETUlay online tutorial session. Ako si Tutor Romel at ako ang inyong makakasama para sa ating lesson patungkol sa subject na Basic Calculus. Ayan, so let me share my screen. So habang hinihintay natin ang share screen ay syempre bati-bati muna tayo sa ating first commenter, Ma'am Maricar Capalar, Marasigan Lentejas. Ayan. Siguro ang gumagamit ng account niya ay si Elisha Jorlene Marasigan Lentejas. Ayan. Pero, may nanonood. May nanonood po from Egypt. Tama ba to? Kamis at Tia Hegazi. Ayan. Hello po sa ating lahat. So, ito pong subject na ito, ang subject natin ay Basic Calculus. So ito ay specialized subject ng ating mga grade 11 STEM students. Pwede rin itong maging specialized subject or elective subject ng ating mga senior high school students na kumakuha ng general academic strand. O, di ba? Bati-bati naman at kaway-kaway naman po sa lahat ng mga manonood. Ayan, na lalo-lalo ng mga senior high school students at syempre ang ating mga magulang at ang ating mga kapwa guro. Ayan, so habang hinihintay ko ang inyong mga pagbati ay magsisimula na tayo ng ating lesson. So sabi ko nga kanina tayo ngayon ay nasa week 3 na ng third quarter, di ba? Napakabilis. At ang ating pagtutuunan ng pansin ngayon para sa asignaturang Basic Calculus ay ang continuity of functions. O sige nga po, mag-comment naman po kayo dyan. Ano po ba ang inyong nalalaman patungkol sa continuity of function? Ayan, syempre ang masya-shoutout ay yung magbibigay ng kanyang comment. Pero kahit hindi ko nababasa ang inyong mga comment ng live, maraming salamat po at ito po ay sobrang nakakataba ng aming puso. Ayan. So maraming salamat rin po sa pagsuporta ng ating ETUlay session. Okay, so let us recall the definition of indeterminate form of type. Okay, when we say indeterminate, how are we going to express it mathematically? Dito mula tayo mag-umpisa sa definition na ito. Okay. Once again, let us recall the definition of indeterminate form of type blank. Ano kaya ang sagot dito? Okay? So we have, when we say indeterminate, we can represent it as 0 over 0. Okay, so tingnan natin ang sumusunod na mga definition. So when we say a limit that is indeterminate of type 0 over 0, or the limit of this form may exist. Okay, kailan po mag-exist, Tutor Romel? To find the actual value, one should find an expression equivalent to the original by factoring or by rationalizing. Ayan, naalala ba natin yung factoring? Okay, grade or elementary days pa lang may factoring na tayo, di ba? May tinatawag tayong mga prime factorization. Okay, ito namang rationalizing, encounter natin siya sa ating grade 9 lesson when we deal with radicals. Okay. So the expression that will emerge after factoring or rationalizing will have a computable limit. Ayan, tingnan natin, i-apply natin yan dito sa ating given example. Okay, so let us try to evaluate the limit of x squared minus x minus 2 all over x plus 1 as x approaches -1. Okay. So as you can see, ayan, fill in the blank ulit tayo ha. Ayan, sabi ni Leo Pedregosa, rational functions that can be reduced. Oo, meron tayong mga rational function which can be simplified using nga po factoring. Okay. The limit of both the numerator and the denominator as x approaches -1 is blank. O, sige nga, ano kayang sagot dito? Yan. Again ha, the limit of both the numerator and the denominator as x approaches -1 is what? Okay, so this will become, sige nga, tingnan nga natin. Ano kaya ang sagot? Ayan. So while waiting for the answer, binabati natin si Ma'am Maricel Reyes. Good afternoon po. Watching from SDO Aliaga Annex, Sunson Elementary School. Ayan, pati mga elementary teachers nanonood sa atin. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagsuporta. Ayan. Naandyan rin si Miss Lorena Madriaga Vides. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ayan. So, good afternoon din kay Joy Gaurana. Good afternoon po. Kay Renzo Lumibaw. Good afternoon rin po. Hello po, Ma'am Christina Pineda. And of course, sa lahat po ng mga nanonood. Ayan, may nanonood raw from Los Angeles, California. Leo Pedregosa. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Okay, tingnan natin. Ayan, meron ba? Okay. So, okay. So what's the limit? Okay? So as you can see, the numerator and the denominator as x approaches -1 is 0. Okay? Thus, this limit is an indeterminate form. Ayan yung mga sagot nila, Sir Armand Obeja sa Leo Pedregosa. Yan na yung final answer natin. Nakuha na yung final answer. Okay, of type 0 over 0. However, okay, observe that, ayan, tama yung ginawang step ni Mr. Leo Pedregosa. Talagang tinype pa niya sa comment. Maraming salamat po. So observe that x plus 1 is a factor to the numerator and the denominator, and we have x squared minus x minus 2 all over x plus 1. Ayan, tama rin ang sagot ni Ma'am Jerin Balyos Katigbak. Ayan. So this numerator is equal to x minus 2 times x plus 1. Okay? So as you can see, we can eliminate here x plus 1. So this will give us a result of -2. And sabi nga nila, therefore, the limit of x squared minus x minus 2 all over x plus 1 as x approaches -1 is equal to the limit of x minus 2 as x approaches -1? And yun nga, sabi ni Sir Arman, ni Sir Leo, and ni Ma'am Jerine, the answer is -3. So from there, we can form another definition. And what is that definition? In our previous discussion or in our previous lesson, there are functions whose limits are not equal to the function value at x equals z. Okay? So meaning that the limit of f of x as x approaches c is not always equal to f of c. And this leads us to the study of continuity function. So in this lesson, we will be focusing on the continuity of a function at a specific point muna ha. Okay, mamaya meron tayong extension dyan. Okay, sabi ni Sir Leo Pedregosa nga, direct substitution will result to 0/0, which we do not know what it is. Ayan, thank you po Sir Leo for commenting. Ayan, si Sir Leo ata yung from Los Angeles ha. Okay, talaga ang sipag ni Sir Leo. Okay. So let us have this definition, fill in the blank ulit tayo. Once you trace the entire graph of the given function without lifting your pen or pencil from your sheet of paper, the graph describes a... Sige nga, tingnan natin. Ano kayang sagot dito? Ayan, so bati-bati muna ulit tayo habang naghihintay ako ng inyong sagot kung ano ba ang tamang sagot para dito. Describes a blank function. Ano kaya yon? Okay, watching po from Binyan Integrated National High School. Hello po, Sir Treble Zevac D. Escubanya. Ayan, hello po sa inyo. Ayun, sabi ni Ma'am Jerine Valwis Katigbak, continuous. Okay, so tandaan natin ha. When we are not, without lifting our pen or pencil, okay, from your sheet of paper, when we are talking of entire graph, okay, tuloy-tuloy, okay, hindi natin kailangan itaas ang ating pen or pencil when we are graphing. Ang tawag doon ay continuous function. Okay? Let us start graphically illustrating what it means to be continuity at a point. Okay. So let us consider this example. Ayan. So, what kind of graph is this? Sige nga. Ano kayang klaseng function itong graph na ito? Lagyan lang natin ng konting extension na. Okay, so while waiting for your answer, hello kay Reggie Ramirez Aninon Barot watching from Ondoy National High School, SDO Aklan. Ayan. Bakit kaya Ondoy ang pangalan? Naalala ko tuloy yung Typhoon Ondoy. Okay. Ayan. Sabi ni Ma'am Sheila Joy Medina, it's a linear function. Correct? It's a linear function. And as you can see from our example, let us use the graph to check if the function is continuous at x equals 1. Tutor Romel, nasan yung x equals 1? Ito po, oh. Okay. So note that one is able to trace the graph from the left side. Okay, from the left side, dito, no? Going to, of the number x equals 1, going to the right of x equals 1 without lifting one's pen. Di ba? We can trace the graph hanggang sa makapass through siya sa x equals 1, dire-diretso without lifting our pen or pencil. So, hence, we can say that the function is blank at x equals 1. Okay, sabi ni Sir Leo Pedregosa, that means for every input, there is always a well-defined output. Ayun. Like linear function and the rest of the polynomials. Ayan, naku, nape-preempt na ni Sir Leo yung ating mga lesson ngayon. Maraming salamat po, Sir Leo. Ayan. Sir Reggie Ramirez. Ayan, Ondoy raw kasi yung pangalan ng barangay. Okay, tama ang sagot ni Ma'am Jerine Valois Katigbak. It is continuous at x equals 1. Okay, next example po tayo. Ayan. So let us consider naman the graph of the function at f of x, or the function f of x equals 1 over x minus 4. Okay. Is the function continuous at x equals 4? Question mark. Okay, tingnan natin. So this is the graph of our function. Ano? F of x is equal to x minus 4. Ayan, thank you po Sir Leo Pedregosa. I love teaching calculus, sabi niya. Okay, so let us have this solution. So if we trace the graph from the left of x equals 4, going to the right of x equals 4, we have to leave our pen. Okay, as you can see, ito si x equals 4 eh. Okay, as you can see, hindi nagpa-pass through dun yung ating graph. Okay? The function values will go downward indefinitely while at the right of x equals 4. The function values, okay, ito namang nasa right daw, it will go upward indefinitely. Okay, so thus the function is, syempre, discontinuous siya. Okay, at x equals 4. Okay, next example. Okay, or next definition. So, paano naman po, Tutor Romel, kapag walang graph na given? Okay? So, suppose we are not given the graph of a function, but just the function itself. In this case, we have to check 3 conditions. Ayan na, may 3 conditions. Tandaan natin to mga magulang, estudyante, at mga kapwa ko guro. Here are the 3 conditions of continuity. First and foremost, a function, f of x, is said to be continuous at x equals c if the following 3 conditions are satisfied. Okay? So let us have it. F of c exists. Okay? So we're going to apply these 3 conditions in our given or succeeding examples. Okay, next, the limit of f of x as x approaches c exists. And the last is f of c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c. Okay. So, ito tatandaan rin natin. Ito Tutor Ramel, kailangan ba itong tatlong to masatisfy para masabi natin na continuous ang given function at x equals c? Ang sabi, if at least one of these conditions is not met, f is said to be discontinuous at x equals c. So therefore, kailangan itong tatlong ito ay masasatisfy. Okay? So again, if these 3 conditions are satisfied, then we can say that our function is said to be continuous at x equals c. Okay. So let us have this example. So we can say that, or let us have example 1. Determine if f of x, okay, is equal to x cubed plus x squared minus 2 is continuous or not at x equals 1. Ayan. Sabi nga ni Sir Leo, f of 4 is equal to 1 over 4 minus 4. And 1 over 0 is undefined, no? So it means that it has no output. Tama sa Sir Leo, no? Thank you po, Sir Leo. And another input from Sir Leo, f of c exists means it has a value or answer when you input a constant c, where c is a real number. Ayun, ang daming sharing ngayon ni Sir Leo. Thank you very much po. Kasi nga, he loves to teach calculus. Ayan. Thank you, Sir Leo. Ayan. Continue for sharing po, sir. Marami rin po ako natututunan sa inyo. Ayan. So, let us consider again this example. So, we have to check the precondition for continuity of a function. So, as you can see, if x is equal to what? If x is equal to 1, then what will happen to our function? It will become f of 1 is equal to 1 cubed plus 1 squared minus 2. Then simplify. So 1 cubed is equal to 1, 1 squared is equal to 1, minus 2. Okay. And f of 1 is equal to 0. Okay. Now, ano yung second condition? We need to check or to look for or to solve for the limit of our function as it approaches 1. Okay? So the limit of our f of x as x approaches 1. So it will become the limit of x cubed plus x squared minus 2 as x approaches 1. And what's the answer? It's also 0. So what can we conclude for condition number 3? F of c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c. So 0 equals 0. So therefore, f is continuous at x equals 1. Okay, next example po tayo. Okay, so I hope you are following at marami rin kayo natututunan sa ating lesson ngayon. Okay? So while I am discussing here, kung alam nyo na po ang sagot sa mga given example natin, please don't hesitate to comment po. Okay, gawin nating engaging ang ating ETUlay session ngayon kahit na tayo ay nasa gitna ng pandemya. Ayan, maraming salamat po. Ayan, sulong edukalidad nga. Okay. So as you can see from here, we can say that x, for first condition, we should let x be equal to 3. Kasi ito yung sabi dito. Okay? Okay, hahanapin natin kung continuous or not at x equals 3. So we have then, f of 3 is equal to 3 minus 3 all over 3 squared plus 3 minus 12. So as you can see, it will become 0 over 0. So therefore, f of c does not exist. Okay, so therefore, our given is discontinuous, or our given function is discontinuous at x equals 3. Okay, pare-pareho po ba tayo ng sagot? Sige po, comment naman po kayo dyan. Okay, next example. Let us determine if f of x is equal to the square root of x minus 1 is continuous or not at x equals 4. Okay, tingnan natin ha. So once again, first condition, we let x be equal to 4. Okay? Then that will become f of 4 is equal to the square root of 4 minus 1. So it will become the square root of 3. And we say that square root of c exists in our Cartesian plane. Okay? Yes, it is. Okay? Why? Since it is greater than what? Sige nga po. Okay? So it means that since it is greater than 0. Okay. Ayan. So we can say that f of c exists. Okay. Next. Letter B, limit of f of x as x approaches c. Okay, so tingnan naman natin ito. Dapat equal, di ba, para masabi natin continuous ang ating given function at x equals 4. Okay, so the limit of the square root of x minus 1 as x approaches 4. And then we have the limit of the square root of 4 minus 1 as x approaches 4. Okay? So, as you can see, it is the limit of the square root of 3 as x approaches 4. And based on our definition of limits, okay, the limit of a constant is equal to a certain, that constant, okay? So we have the square root of 3. Okay, so equal sila. So we can say that, okay, f of c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c. Okay? So we can say that the square root of 3 is equal to the square root of 3. So we can conclude that the function is continuous at x equals 4. Okay, punta naman tayo dito. Okay, next definition. Ayan, continuity of a function from a certain interval naman tayo. Okay, so we say that a function can be continuous on an interval. A function is said to be continuous on an interval when the function is defined at every point on that interval and undergoes no interactions, ayan, jumps or breaks. If some function f of x satisfies this criteria, from x equals a to x equals b, okay, ito na yung interval natin, no? A to b. For example, we say that f of x is continuous on the interval, bracket ang ginamit, no? Bracket a, comma b. So it means it's a closed interval. Okay. So let us have this example. Let us apply this definition in our given example. Okay? Oh, may isa pa pala definition. So here are the given concepts which are important in determining whether a function is continuous at the endpoints of closed interval. Okay, so we have one-sided continuity. Okay, a function f is said to be continuous from the left at x equals c if, ayan, tingnan nga natin. Okay, so if f of c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c from the left, okay? Ayan. Next. Okay. Next is a function f is said to be continuous from the right as x at x equals c if, okay, f of c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c from the right. Kaya positive yung nasa taas. Okay, kung naaalala nyo yung ating mga ETUlay session, na pagnilayan na natin kung paano basahin po ang mga ito. Okay. So let us have the continuity of polynomial, absolute value, rational, and square root function. So in general, we can say that polynomial functions are continuous at blank, no? Everywhere, sabi. So the absolute value function, f of x is equal to the absolute value of x, is continuous everywhere also. Rational functions are continuous on their respective domains, okay? And the square root function, f of x is equal to the square root of x, is continuous on, okay, close interval, 0, infinity. Ayan, meron pa kayong mga nanonood. Ayan, hello, hello po. Just keep on commenting and don't forget to share our video for today, our session for today. Okay, so let us consider the given example. Consider the graph of the function f given on the side and determine if the function f is continuous on the following interval. Okay, so we have this. Okay, anong klaseng graph ito? Okay, at ano kayang klaseng function ito? Ayan. Sige nga po, habang ako'y naghihintay ng inyong mga kasagutan. Ayan. Okay, bati-bati muna tayo. Maraming salamat po ulit kay Sir Leo sa kanyang pag-share po ng mga information. Ayan. And hello rin kay Vincent Pelosis. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong pag-comment. So this is a graph of a parabola which opens downward. Okay, so parabola is a graph of quadratic function, di ba? Okay, so it's a polynomial function also. So tingnan natin kung siya ay from this given interval, negative 2, 2, continuous po ba siya? Okay? Dito kaya sa, okay? Sa example number 1, tingnan natin, negative 2, 2. Okay. So we can trace the graph from the right side of x equals negative 2 to the left side of x equals 2 without lifting the pen we are using. So we can say that the function f is continuous in the interval negative 2, 2. How about this one? Negative infinity, 0. So if you trace the graph from negative infinity to the left side of 0, we will not leave our pen. And so f is continuous on negative infinity, comma, 0. Okay, next. For number 3 naman, 0, comma, positive infinity, we can say that, okay, for the interval 0, comma, positive infinity, you trace the graph from the right side of 0 to any large number and found that you will not leave your pen. Thus, the function f is continuous on 0, comma, positive infinity. Okay? So next example, how about if we have let f of x equals 1 over x minus 4? Determine if f is continuous on each side of the following interval. Okay, tingnan po natin ito. Ayan, so this is the graph of our function. F of x is equal to 1 over x minus 4. Okay, so we have, okay, is it continuous at negative 3, comma 2? Okay, tingnan natin. So we can trace the graph from x equals negative 3 going to x equals 2 without lifting the pen. Okay, thus the function f is continuous on the interval or on the closed interval. Okay, kasi nga po bracket. On the closed interval, negative 3, comma 2. Ayan, as you can see, nasan si negative 3? Ito, no? Okay, negative 3 is here. Okay? Papunta dun sa 2. Ayun, o, di ba? As you can see, walang naputol na linya. Okay? So that's why it is continuous. Next, okay, we have bracket 0, comma 4 or open interval, sorry po, open interval 0, comma 4. So we can also trace the graph from the right. Ibig sabihin, hindi kasali si 0 ha, open interval eh. So from the right, okay, from the right side of x equals 0 to the left side of x equals 4, without lifting the pen we are using. So we can say that the function f is continuous on the interval 0, comma 4. Okay, how about 0, comma 5? Okay, so we can also say that by observation, okay, the function f is not continuous on the closed interval 0, comma 5 because we will lift our pen by tracing the graph. So as you can see, ayan, oh, may gap between 0 to 5. Okay po? Okay, so that's why it is discontinuous. Okay, next. So determine if the given function, ayan, activity na pala tayo, no? Okay, determine if the given function f of x are continuous or not at the given value of x. Okay. So let us have this one. Okay. So tignan nga natin habang hihintayin ko po ang inyong mga sagot. Ayan, please answer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 para naman ma-check ko kung meron pa rin nanonood at nakatutok sa ating ETUlay session. Okay, sige nga po. Please do answer number 1 to 5. Ayan, sige nga po. While waiting, sige, babati ako. Ayan, check ko kung sino yung mga babatiin. Ayan. So, hello pa rin kay Sir Leo. Ayan, tuloy-tuloy pa rin siya sa pag-share. Ayan. Tingnan natin kung sino pa ang ating mga babatiin. Ayan, ang mga nagko-comment. Sige po, wag po kayong mahiyang mag-comment ng inyong sagot. Ayan, sabi ni Sir Glenn Garcia, number 1, f of x is continuous. O, tama, Sir Glenn. Number 1 is continuous. Okay. Ayan, okay. Sige nga po, number 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayan, tingnan natin. Ayan, okay. So, what's the answer po for numbers 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, sabi ni Sir Glenn, ni Sir Leo, no? It is continuous since f of x is a polynomial function. So, in-apply niya yung definition na nabasa natin kanina na polynomial function is continuous everywhere. Okay, di ba? Yeah, number 2, continuous, sabi ni Sir Leo. Okay. So, that's correct. Continuous also. Yan. Okay, tingnan natin. Next po, number 3, 4, 5. Hintayin ko po ang inyong mga kasagutan. Okay. Hintayin po natin. Ayan. For number 3, ayan, sige po. Okay, sige nga po. May sumagot na kaya sa number 3? Ayan, tingnan natin. Ayan, sabi ni Sir Leo, ay, naku, may sagot na rin si Sir Armand. Okay, number 3, discontinuous. Tama po. Number 4, discontinuous. Ayan. Ayan, sabi ni... Ayan, okay. Okay, number 5, it's continuous. Okay, sige. Tingnan natin. Okay. Okay, so ito naman pong mga natitirang mga exercises. Iwan ko na po sa inyo. Ayan. So kasi tayo po ay magta-time na. Ayan. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat na nakatutok. Ayan. So ito mga remaining exercises na pwede po ninyong balikan as we go through our lesson. Okay. So, ayan. So, mag-iiwan ako sa inyo ng pahayag na ang math kayang-kaya. Tara at tutulungan kita, itulay natin ang edukasyon hanggang sa matuto ka. Okay? So, you can send me, ayan, ugaliin rin nating bilangin ang ating mga biyaya para tayo ay laging masaya. Okay, so that's my Facebook page po. Ayan, and my Twitter, my Weeklet, and Laika. And see you in our next session. Week 4 na tayo ng Basic Calculus. And mamaya po, meron pa tayong GenMath pagkatapos po ng session natin sa Basic Calculus. So magkita-kita rin po tayo sa GenMath. Paalam! Thank you po! See ya!
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan sa Lunes mula 1:00 ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa Science. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!